Vicente, welcome back and congratulations on receiving your 50 Perfect Test jacket. What does that mean to you?
Thank you. And man, this is really special, because like they said, I'm the third guy that came into the UFC already under the USADA program to get the 50 clean tests. And for me, it has always been an honor, to be able to fight in such an event like the UFC and know that all the guys here are clean. Everybody's competing, under the same circumstances. And that just gives me, that extra confidence that yeah, I'm here to be the best in the world, and nobody's gonna be kind of cheating or anything like that. So it's definitely really good.
Awesome, and you're back in the main event spotlight. I wanted to ask, how was the process like getting back here to fight week? Obviously, you unfortunately went through the brain bleed. How was that process like?
So yeah, that was definitely unfortunate, but I was 100% blessed, for being able to recover very well since the first day right after the fight. When I got the news, they did all the testing, all the exams, and everything went well. My body was recovering. And then the UFC, my manager Ali Abdelaziz, they were always with me in this process, trying to get the best information for me to make sure that I was going to get fully recovered and be able to compete. And that's what's going to happen now. I'm back. I'm 100%. I would even say I'm better than 100%. I feel a much better fighter than I was before. So yeah, I'm definitely blessed.
Glad to hear that, man. And obviously, you got the call to fight RDA. What was your initial reaction when you found out he was going to be your next opponent?
Yeah, that fight is, man, is amazing for me. And it's funny because when I got the call from Ali, I had no idea who I was gonna fight. I was looking at the top 10, and I wanted to get a fight, that is gonna put me back up there, gonna move me up. But I never thought about RDA because I wasn't sure if he was ever gonna fight a welterweight again or if he's gonna stay at lightweight. So when I got that call, I said, man, this is the perfect fight. A former champion, a guy, that I looked up to during my career. Definitely is a guy that I want to fight. And main event couldn't be better, 5 rounds for us to go in there and put on a great show.
And obviously, the last two didn't go your way, but when you look back at those fights, is there any takeaways or anything you learned that will help you continue to develop as a mixed martial artist, and ultimately get your hand raised on Saturday?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, this is the first time in the UFC I'm coming off 2 losses, and that definitely kind of made me look back and try to change a few things, develop some new things that I needed to develop, and just look back at, everything that I can improve. And I took time as well, and that time was really good for me to work on all of this. So I definitely think like I don't like I hate losing, I hate losing, but sometimes they definitely come for good, and it has made me a better fighter.
And your opponent RDA was in here not too long ago. He said that he believes his experience will ultimately help him get his hand raised. How do you think you're going to get your hand raised?
So I definitely agree with him in the sense that he's more experienced guy, but at the same time, I think that I've been in 31, 32 MMA fights, if I count the ones in the Ultimate Fighter. So I got also experience on my side, and my plan is to go in there and try to beat him with all the tools I have. We're fighting MMA. He's an MMA fighter. I'm an MMA fighter. We both submit, finish, and if we need to, take it to the long run and use our hearts, we have that. So that's the fight I see, a fight that, two of us are really well rounded, and it's going to be about who wants it more, and I believe I'm going to want it more that night.
And last one for me. What would be a message you have for other fighters or athletes that are going through setbacks, kind of like you did with the brain bleed?
I think that the biggest thing is, I would put two things. One is just trying to, everyone around you, that's really important. So my family was a big thing for me during this process. Everybody had my back, a lot of my coaches as well. And my manager, as I said, the people around you, that's super important. The more you can surround yourself with people that really care about you, that's a big thing. And second thing is God. That's something that I've always had. God has always been in my corner, always helping me and blessing me, and that faith kept me kind of like confident that I was going to recover, that I was going to get back here, and that I was going to do what I love once again. So those would be the two things. Thank
Hey
you.
Vicente,
Hey, what's up?
How's dad life?
That life is great. It's the greatest thing, man. Always having fun, seeing my little one getting bigger and bigger, and more energy. He's jumping around, running everywhere. Now he stayed in Florida, back with his mom, but it's fun. I missed them, and yeah, after the fight, I get to enjoy that again.
I wanted to ask a little bit more about the brain bleed. Like, how scary was that? I mean, especially like you're in combat sports, right? So your brain's gonna get hit again. So like, was there ever a thought like maybe I'm not gonna fight again?
So the first reaction, like I wasn't really like I don't know why. In a way, I felt like it could happen just because I never been knocked out and I was hit a lot, and Jeff hits hard. So I'm like, okay, I'm here in the hospital. They're taking long to like release me. I think something went on. So they told me, and I was like, okay, what do we have to do? For now, we're gonna just wait, see how it develops. And at that point, I was kind of like relaxed, and I was confident that I was gonna get better, and that was it. The days after that, so when I started, I was recovering and doing more exams and going to neurologists. That's when they told me, hey, so now we're gonna do all these testings to see if you can fight again. That got me worried because I think never in my life I thought that something could just take this away suddenly. Suddenly I'm not gonna do what I love anymore. So yeah, at that point I was kind of worried, but thank God every single exam they made just came back like, okay, you're getting better. Then okay, everything is healed. Like all last three exams I made, there's not even there isn't even scars or anything that show that I had the injury I had. So that's amazing. And yeah, I think that it got me worried, but having faith in God and knowing that things were gonna be okay kind of got me through the whole process.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. You moved to the United States. Um,
Yes.
what was the decision behind that?
So, I had a lot of time after this fight because I was suspended. I took this suspension very seriously and positively for me to grow. So, first of all, I didn't spar for 6 months, and that gave me extra time to work and develop on techniques, and also to look back at my career and see like certain things that I needed to do more. And one thing was to train more. I needed to be more at Kill Cliff with all those guys, with all the beasts. Only in the UFC in the top 15 welterweight. Me, Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns, Ian Gary, Shavkat. So only beasts over there, plus a whole bunch of other great guys at welterweight. And having that every single day, not only when I have a fight, but every single day, I felt like that was the next step. Plus the coaches, all the coaches there are so experienced. So it just made sense in my mind. Also now with my kid, I think Florida and the United States is a great country to grow up in. I see a lot of my friends. Gilbert Burns has his kids here, and they go to school. They do all the sports. I think that's great. So that's also me and my wife considered. It's gonna be a good life for us, and we decided, and then we moved. Yeah, it was good.
Who were some of your main training partners for this camp?
So for this specific camp, I worked a lot with Angel. Is Angel Alvarez? He fought LFA recently. He's a beast, and soon he'll be in the UFC. I'm telling you, this guy is a beast. He helped me a lot. He's a natural southpaw, judo Olympic team in Cuba, so really good grappling, but also great striking. So really helped me out. And then also another guy, two other guys. Yusako helped me a lot. He's in the UFC. He's gonna be fighting in Singapore. He's a beast. Yusako Kinoshita and Kamaru Usman. He went in for many of my trainings, many of my sparrings as well. And he's a guy that fought Rafael before, so he was kind of giving me the pointers, what, and he knows me for a long time, so he knows kind of my game. So seeing, maybe this can work and this can work, and also giving me that physical work, trying to bring that intensity that Rafael will have, So that was really good.
And finally, we know that you love cars, you love race cars. So how was it having the UFC come to to do the UFC Connected, and then they kind of owning a car, owning a race car? Like how was that?
Man, I love cars. That has always been a big passion of mine, and I would say like car racing is a really expensive hobby. That's why and sport. That's why I don't think I ever would become a race car when I was a kid. But I would have loved to. If it weren't MMA, it would be racing. But yeah, now I get to fulfill these dreams, and it's crazy because like through doing what I love, through fighting in the UFC, through building this, being able to provide to my family, being able, to just bring honor to my parents, to show them that hey, I'm doing good things. I also get to, uh, realize so many dreams of that child, that little kid when I was a kid, and I dream, oh, one day I'm gonna have a race car, one day I'm gonna have this, and now I get to do that. It's really amazing, it's really, I don't know, it's great, and it's a great thing. I have a race car in Brazil. That's the only car I have left in Brazil. I sold everything else to move over here, and now I got myself a Mustang GT over here, manual gearbox, because I love that. And yeah, I'm gonna definitely take it to the track in Homestead, Miami soon.
What's the next car you want to get?
Man, I don't know. Not for now. Let me just chill with this one. I plan now. I have a YouTube channel as well, so my plan is kind of like show guys what I do with the car, go racing and stuff, and maybe modifying it little by little. So for now, let me chill with the Mustang GT and get more bonuses.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Vicente, I noticed you mentioned that I'm right here.
Oh, okay, it's you. Okay.
I saw that you just mentioned that you would have been interested in a race car driving career. Would that have been like open wheel, like Formula One, IndyCar, or would it have been like sports cars and stuff like that?
Man, I love all of them. So Formula One is the highest level. I think the most technical. I love stock car racing. So NASCAR in Brazil, we have stock car with V8 engines as well. That's pretty fun. But I think that me, analyzing my fighting style, I think I would be a rally driver because it's all about like improvisation and being, wild, not having fear. So I think I would be a rally driver.
I'll be honest, I didn't think you were going to say NASCAR. I mean, have you been able to check out NASCAR here in the States?
I haven't yet, but I do plan on doing that. Especially like in Florida, we have Homestead, Miami. There's Daytona. There's so many tracks, so I do wanna go. I've been to one race in Florida that was in Sebring, and it was the Ferrari Challenge, and it was amazing. To go there and see that. Yeah.
And the last one is someone from Brazil. Did you look up to Ayrton Senna?
Yes, definitely. That's my biggest idol, in sports, and I think especially because he brings much more than just a great athlete. He gave it all to the sport, including his life, unfortunately, at the end. But he gave it all, and he always went in there really to just show the whole Brazilians that we could do more, that we could, if we believed in our dreams, if we had faith and we worked hard, we could do more and accomplish things that people could never believe that we could. So that's why, he's definitely my idol, and the guy that I look up to the most as an athlete ever. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vicente, going back on the injury that you recovered from, not to rub it into the ground, but it's just such an interesting, injury. Did it feel any different, on injuries like that where you can't actually see? Sometimes, you don't really understand or you can't tell the severity. Did it feel anything different? Could you feel that something was going on, or did it just feel like, hey, I just took a beating in a fight? Could you tell that anything was going on?
So it did feel different, and it's hard for me to say and have a difference between like I just took a hard beating or I have something serious because I've never been knocked out. That was the first time. And before that, I had only been knocked down by Wonder Boy and by Barbarina, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was it. And in training, I've never been knocked down. So for me, it's not something common. It's not a normal feeling. So definitely it did feel different. I cannot say it's because of the injury or it's because it was the first time I was knocked out, but it felt different. Like I was right as soon as I got out of there, I felt like kind of like, I don't know, don't feel like overall, I don't feel so good. And then later I kind of had a little bit of headache and that, and like just feeling, like I got hit in the head a lot. So you feel that for sure.
And then finally, just when you were finally able to go back to training, what was the sort of, I guess, the doctor's orders going back into, how long before you were able to start sparring again, and how much sparring were you able to get into this camp before coming back into this?
So the sparring, like there isn't a specific timing. So right at the start, like one month after the injury, I started doing like walking, running a little bit, more physical stuff, and that was the first kind of month physical, so lifting weights, running, and all that. Then I started getting into pad work, mitts, and a little bit of grappling, and then I really got into, like, in the third to fourth month, I got back to all the training but sparring, and obviously not at a super high intensity. But the sparring part, what they said is, like, I was suspended for 6 months, and by doctor's orders, from fighting. So I could not fight. Sparring, they said, like, this is going to be more of feeling and how you feel. Like, what they said is, like, every time you train, you have to observe if you get headaches or things like that after. I didn't get any of that. So I could have sparred maybe before the 6 months. But what I chose is not to spar for 6 months, just so I really took that time. And then after the 6 months were done, I came back slowly by sparring. So I would spar 1 week and then be 2 weeks off, then spar again, and take it really technical. And when training camp came up, now I already spar regular, but even the way I spar has changed. So it's much more technical. I know how to how to work in a way where I'm not getting into brawls and sparring anymore. And also, like, being at a team like Killcliff, and there are so many high-level guys, they also know how to respect that. Where we go, we really push hard physically, like in our cardio, but we don't need to be hitting each other and hurting each other.
And I know to go in there, you have to go in there with 100% confidence and your preparation going in there. But is there any point where something in the back of your head, until you take those first couple strikes, is that previous injury going to be on your mind at any point, until the fight gets going?
I think that I cannot say yes or no for that. I think it's going to be definitely, I haven't fought since my last fight. This is going to be my first fight after what I went through. So there is a part that I'm only going to find out during the fight, that's for sure. But at the same time, like, I've always kind of worked a lot on my mental aspect, I have a psychologist, Luciana Castelo Branco, and she always, has helped me a lot with just knowing myself and knowing kind of my fears and facing them, instead of facing them, but in a way that I embrace it, So what I do understand now is, like, yeah, this is the first time I'm coming back, but hey, I did everything I needed to do before. So I am in the best shape I could be, So considering that, I'm very confident that I can go in there and perform really well. And when I get hit, if I get hit, we'll see what happens.
That's great to hear. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.